I get about, daily, I get daily inbox messages under my videos. I block these people. Here's another one. I think I blocked about 20 or so different account names. This guy calls himself Anthony Holland, commenting under my Dynasties of the Noose. I'm wearing the noose around my neck as a symbol of what humanity is. I'm going to elaborate a little more on that, I think. But there you go. I just thought I'm just going to show people the kind of nasty comments. That noose looks great on you. Are you planning on using it? I hope so. You would be doing humanity a favor. You are a fraud. This is the paid shill network that I talked about. Or I haven't posted this video yet. I'm still debating whether to post it, but this is a shill network that exists out there, and I think I am going to post the video that I made about these types. And like I say, I blocked about 15 or 20 of these, same account, I think, and this one calls himself Anthony Holland. So you can see this is an attack on somebody that has an idea or a thought or a belief or makes a statement, and then you have these vicious types come out, and these are all paid for people because they're very persistent, especially on this Annett thing. They don't give a shit about the fact that the Pacific Ocean is dead. They just want to destroy this guy called Kevin Annett. I'll switch over now to the other. This is basically, okay, I'm going to continue from my introduction about the what are called shills. I never heard of that word before. The internet shills, and about the no noose is good noose. I'm not wearing a noose, I'm wearing the shirt. No noose is good noose. And I want to talk about the origin, people that are initiates to our struggle, initiates in the sense that people who are actually aware of what it means to be alive in the age of fission. We are in the age of fission, and what does that mean? And I think there is a complexity that we can attribute. We are very complex beings. We think, we're thoughtful. I'm talking about the best part of us. I think we're thoughtful, and I'm just finishing off Tessarian's Irish Origin of Civilization, and he goes through Freemasonic symbolisms that are rooted in Egypt, and he has quite a number of insightful, and he elucidates what it is that represents the controllers, the owners, as George Carlin would say, the owners that run the joint. He has elucidated us in this nine-hour video to the symbols that represent the oligarchy. This is indisputable. This exists. This actually is there. And the symbologies that are being applied and used are references that people who are in charge communicate to each other. To each other. It's not to me. It's not to you, unless you're part of the ruling class. It's not to you. And the mistake that I feel that a person like Tessarian makes, well, I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I think that he sees it as some kind of a synopsis or a kind of explanation of why we are in the place that we're in, the destruction that we're facing. And I think this is a mistake. We are not in the place we're in because there are symbols that people use to communicate with each other and communicate to us to let us know that Hollywood and the royalties, the emblems, the people that use these symbols communicate to each other, that to let each other know that they're running the joint. It has nothing to do with you and me. And here's where I depart from a brilliant mind like a Tessarian. He is incredible. I mean, the dissertation, he elucidates all these symbols and what they mean. I'm about this symbol, the red and the black nuclear disaster that we're facing. And I think that what I'm really interested in, and the people that I would consider to be of my clan, the clan of William Wallace, the people that resist the oppression that we are facing through a complete and total annihilation of life on this planet. The greatest oppression is actually the eradication of life on the planet. Never mind being in a gulag or being herded into Auschwitz. That is one form of oppression. But what about the death of everything on this planet? Potentially, the nuclear monster can wipe everything out on this planet. That's what I'm saying. This is what I understand from the catastrophe at Fukushima, the melted reactors, 3 full core meltdowns, fuel pools lost, all this inventory gone into the environment. This is lethal stuff, toxic stuff, and people like the Shell guy, this Holland guy that I came up on, they keep coming out, and this is a sign that I'm on the right track, because I'm really a very small-viewed person. And the idea that you're actually being attacked means that, you know, there's a ripple effect. Something is happening. Now, my point is this. When I listen to this idea, the symbols, what does it actually mean? What does it mean other than representing the people that run the place? And here's where I depart from a Tsarian, because here's I'm going to outline this. I'm going to say it. I might have actually said it before. No news is good news. This is part of the symbology he actually doesn't go into, because in ritual, Freemasonic ritual, people have to wear the noose. This is something that that you know you have to do. Subservience to the noose, and the tie that the business people wear is basically the noose. So what I'm going to tell you now is how this works for me. How the symbology, the sun, the moon, the complex, the lion, the buck, the poles, the phallus, the square, the compass, that all these symbols, what does it mean? What does it actually mean? And I'm going to synopsize this into basically this right here. What we have come to now is the final chapter. I believe we are in the final chapter, and the final chapter was started by Akhenaten, what Tsarian identifies beautifully, the history of the Atenists, the people that actually took over. They were thrown out of Egypt as charlatans, but they actually got a foothold. They got a foothold in Rome. They got a foothold in Italy, wherever they were. Then they traveled back up north, where the Irish, the Druids, he admires the Druids as the people of the 3, the number 3, not all the other numbers that the Athenists attach themselves to, the number 9, the number 13, the number 33. All this stuff is unfolding in this brilliant analysis of all the symbols, but we come down to this fact. This is the fact that the Atenists that are running the place right now, through Skull and Bones and whatever it is that you want to talk about in terms of symbology, are sun worshippers. This is why we're in the place we're in, because the sun worshippers took over. There were many different aspects to our existence in ancient history. We were complex people, but it all got narrowed down to the Son of Man, the Son, the Son, the Son. And what do the scientists at Livermore, what do the people that were involved in the Manhattan Project, what did they do? They brought the energy of the sun down to the earth. This was the supposed 6,000 years of history to bring the sun down to the earth. And this is what we're facing, the dreaded red. And if you look at the Nazis with their red and their black and their white, this is what we're facing. We're facing the extreme sun worshippers. They focused all their attention, all their interest, all their energy onto one thing, to bring the sun down to the earth. It's insane. It's crazy. It's destructive. It destroys everything. These are nihilists. These are nihilists that are running the place, have been running the place for 6,000 years, and we let them. And I'm saying that the nuclear industry, what is called the nuclear industry, is ultimately the greatest sun worship. Akhenaten would have been totally flabbergasted by the idea of a nuclear reactor at 9,000 degrees temperature. This would have been Akhenaten's wet dream for eternity. The 9,000 degrees of temperature in a nuclear reactor times 400 plants times how many reactors in a plant. There's probably easily 1,000 reactors burning at this temperature ongoing every day, plus all the toxic waste from that process that is in so-called fuel pools that have to be cooled because they're so hot. The energy of the sun on the planet. So I'm saying Tsarian, brilliant. But what does it mean if you don't connect it to what's happening? And this is what's happening. We have brought the energy of the sun down to the earth. The greatest mistake ever made, and the people, the psychopaths that actually align themselves with this philosophy they are our undoing. Whether they belong, I don't care if they're Freemasons or Skull and Bones or Timbuktu types, I don't care. The fact is that this is the most destructive result that you could achieve out of any philosophy, religion, belief, or anything. The sun brought down to the earth. That's what we're facing. This is what Tsarian doesn't. He just reveals the symbology, but who cares about the symbols if in reality we actually end up with the destruction, with the annihilation of all life on this planet potentially. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about symbols. The litany and the extreme understanding about what it is that Maxwell Jordan does. People who understand deeply, but we have to connect this in some way to who we are right here, right now. And I'm trying to create paintings and symbols and images that counter that. I'm making fission paintings. They're also called Rorschachs. I'm making fission paintings. I've made complex paintings based on this concept of splitting the atom. The worst thing that we could have ever done to split the atom, because the sun is fusion. And oh, this is interesting because we're not bringing the sun's energy down to the earth because the sun is fusion. So this is erroneous because the fusion process cannot be harnessed on earth. The sun will not be brought down on earth. This is what they've been trying to create reactors that actually capture fusion. You cannot do it on earth. You have fission, which is the ugly duckling of what the sun actually is. So we haven't brought the sun down to earth, but they think they have, and they haven't. And it's psychopathic, it's delusional. It's a bunch of people that are totally out of control, and we let them do it. My thoughts. And all the shills that are out there that are being paid to do what they do. I just showed you a little example of, I get this every day. I get this every day, and I don't even have a lot of views. I have like maybe 70, 80, 100 views tops. So imagine, you know, if I ever got a voice out, I guess I have to prepare myself.